always talking about plants and gardens inside our studio, but today I just wanted to take a few moments and talk about some of the plants right outside our garden here at our entrance. And starting here with our mailbox, we've got these little window box type planters attached to this wooden body of our mailbox. Some of the plants we've got in here are the Torenia. This is a neat little plant in the Snapdragon family, or the Scrophulariaceae. Another name for it is the Wishbone flower, and you can see the little wishbone up here at the top made up of the anthers of the Torenia. Nice dark blue color, does come in a few other colors as well. Looks great in the garden, does wilt a little bit during the heat of the summer, but still a good plant to have in the garden. Right here we've got the silver lotus vine. This is a nice trailing tender plant, and I don't want you to confuse this with the sacred lotus, the water plants that we showed you earlier on our program. But this plant is in the legume family, totally different. It does have a flower, a little parrot's beak like red-orange flower, but the day length and temperature never matches up quite right for these to bloom here in Oklahoma. These are from the Canary Islands. Right down here in this whiskey barrel that our mailbox is mounted in is another interesting little plant. This is the chenille plant, and a couple of other names it goes by are pipe cleaner plant, looks like the little fuzzy wiry things that you clean out pipes with, and another name that I think is pretty fun is red hot cat's tail. But this one is a smaller dwarf version of that plant and more of a trailing red hot cat's tail. Acalypha, same genus as our copperleaves, but I love the way it spills over this little whiskey barrel planter. Right out here in the ground we've got some interesting color, but not from flowers, from fruit. These are some of the little ornamental peppers. This is one called Medusa. And it's got the peppers up here at the top of the plant, sort of look like the snaky locks of Medusa. And that is one of the things that the people who breed the ornamental peppers go for, is having those peppers positioned up at the top of the plant so you see more of the color. Now, there are sometimes we hear people talk about how they think the ornamental peppers are poisonous, but they aren't poisonous, but I wouldn't recommend eating them because they've been bred for the way they look rather than the way they taste. We've got some interesting vines here on the trellis work or lattice work outside the garden, and this vine is a hardy passion vine, and I'll show you a flower here with a sleepy bumblebee still waking up there this morning. This is Passiflora caerulea. The word caerulea means blue, so you can see the blue structures of the flower there contrast very well with the white color of those sepals. But this again is a hardy passion flower, Passiflora caerulea. A neat thing about planting passion flowers in your garden is the butterflies that they'll bring. The passion vines are a food source of the Gulf fritillary butterfly, and I see one of the caterpillars right down here. This is the larva of the Gulf fritillary butterfly. It's got all those interesting little spiny protrusions along its back there. It looks kind of menacing, but it's really quite harmless. But they will feed on the passion vines, and they turn into their adult form, which is a medium-sized orange butterfly, has some whitish or grayish variegation type patterning on the underside of its leaves. So it's always great to plant a few passion vines in your garden for that reason. Well, another vine right down here that I'm really excited about, one that we grew for the first time in our garden this year, is this plant. And believe it or not, this is a morning glory. It doesn't really look like a morning glory. In fact, it's kind of wild looking, I would say. But this plant has an appropriate name for a plant that blooms in the morning. It's called Sunrise Serenade. I think just a perfect name for a morning glory. I just love those double flowers of red and white, or sort of a purplish, reddish purple and white color. We got the seed for this plant from the Seed Savers Exchange catalog. It's the first year that they have offered it, first year we've grown it, and we're absolutely thrilled with the plant. Now nearby, right over here, we've got another vine that's in the morning glory family. A lot of you are probably familiar with this plant. This is the cypress vine, these bright red flowers. But the flowers are kind of small, but they're so bright in color that they show up really well. And the foliage is a very delicate ferny type of foliage. A very similar vine to this one is the cardinal climber. Flowers look exactly the same, but the leaves aren't as dissected. Again, we've got another vine kind of in the mix here that I want to show you right up here. This is known as the climbing snapdragon. You can see those little purple snapdragon-like flowers. This is an annual vine from southwestern United States and parts of Mexico. And it is a vine that we grew from seed and again makes quite a show in 1 year. These plants used to be known as Acerina, but now the genus has been changed to Maurandella. And one last vine we've got is the hyacinth bean climbing up on our trellis there. Nice purple flowers, purple seed pods that are edible, and we have that plant as well in our African garden because it is from the continent of Africa. But I just wanted to show you a few of the plants outside our garden entrance, and in particular this new morning glory, Sunrise Serenade. Thanks for tuning in for Oklahoma Gardening. Be sure and join us again next week.